It's more captivating than any TV show. The story of the Murdoch family and their battle for control of a media empire, an empire that touches billions of lives. We're not just talking about any media empire. Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post. These are media giants with the power to shape opinions and influence global events. At the heart of it all is Rupert Murdoch, the 93-year-old patriarch who built this empire. You'd think succession planning would be straightforward with a fortune like this, but things are anything but simple with the Murdoch family trust. You see, after Rupert passes control of the empire, it's supposed to be split equally among his 4 eldest children, Lachlan, James, Elizabeth, and Prudence. Equal sounds fair on the surface. But that's where the story gets really interesting. The Murdoch family is known for its internal disputes, and this time it's more than just sibling rivalry. This is about a clash of ideologies. Lachlan and Rupert, they're firm in their conservative beliefs, which aligns with the direction of outlets like Fox News. But James and Elizabeth, they lean more liberal. And Rupert's ultimate goal is to make sure his empire keeps its right-wing stance. That's where the real battle lines are drawn. It's not just about the money. It's about who gets to steer these powerful media outlets, who gets to wield that influence over information and narratives on a global scale. Recently, a Nevada court threw a big wrench into Rupert and Lachlan's plans to control everything. They tried to change the trust to give Lachlan all the power and secure his place as the successor. But a commissioner saw right through it. He rejected their attempt and called it out for what it was, a carefully crafted charade. This ruling isn't just a legal setback, it's a window into the Murdoch family's dynamics and how far they'll go for power. The commissioner's 96-page opinion, it's like a tell-all novel packed with details about the family's inner workings. It even reveals that an episode of Succession, that HBO show about a media mogul's family tearing itself apart over control. Well, that episode got the Murdoch children thinking about their own father's eventual passing. They even started planning their PR strategy, just in case things got messy. Talk about life imitating art. Always the strategist, Rupert and Lachlan came up with a plan they called Project Family Harmony. Ironic, isn't it? The whole point of this plan was to push Lachlan into the leadership role, which meant sidelining James, Elizabeth, and Prudence. To tilt the scales even further, they got support from some heavy hitters like Bill Barr, the former Attorney General. Their legal defense boiled down to this: a conservative editorial direction is just more profitable. So they claimed they were acting in everyone's best financial interests. Essentially, they were saying that keeping outlets like Fox News on their current path would make everyone richer. But James, Elizabeth, and Prudence, they weren't buying it. They argued that they were being cut out of their rightful control no matter what the financial justifications were. Now, the commissioner, he really didn't hold back. He called out Rupert and Lachlan for acting in bad faith, for being dishonest, and for trying to unfairly favor Lachlan. This Nevada court ruling, it's a major blow to their plans. But this story's far from over. To understand how we got here, we need to go back and look at the Murdoch family trust itself. It was set up back in 2006, designed to be an unbreakable agreement. Rupert, he'd already been through a divorce with his second wife, Anna, the mother of Lachlan, Elizabeth, and James. He wanted to make sure there was a smooth handover of power. The trust guaranteed that his 4 oldest children would have equal voting power when he died. While his 2 younger daughters, from his marriage to Wendy, Dane, Grace, and Chloe, they got an equal financial stake, but no voting rights. It seemed like a solid plan to avoid future disputes. But there was a catch, a clause that gave Rupert the ability to change the trust if he could prove it was in the best interest of all the beneficiaries. This tiny little loophole, it would become the center of this whole legal battle. In recent years, those family tensions really started to bubble to the surface. James, he'd stepped away from the family business and made it clear he didn't agree with his father's conservative views. This started to worry Rupert and Lachlan. They were afraid that James might team up with Elizabeth and Prudence and try to steer the company in a totally different direction once Rupert was gone. They even pointed to a meeting that James, Elizabeth, and Prudence had in London. They saw it as a proof that they were plotting against Lachlan. But the commissioner, he wasn't convinced. He didn't find any real evidence of a conspiracy. Even without solid proof, Lachlan had Rupert's backing, and they put Project Family Harmony into action. Their goal was to rewrite the trust, essentially cutting James, Elizabeth, and Prudence out of the decision-making process and giving Lachlan all the authority. They even considered giving voting power to Grace and Chloe, Rupert's daughters, with Wendy Dang. It was a calculated move to shift the balance of power in their favor. They presented their plan at a trust meeting. Lachlan even sent Elizabeth a text message beforehand, trying to sound all friendly and emphasizing that this was what their father wanted. Rupert himself made a statement at the meeting. He said he loved all his children, of course, but he stressed that they needed one clear leader, and that leader was Lachlan. It set the stage for a real showdown between the siblings. James, Elizabeth, and Prudence, officially, they were called the objectors in the legal documents. They were totally against the changes. They argued that they were being stripped of their inheritance based on nothing more than assumptions about their intentions and what they wanted for the company. This is where the commissioner's ruling gets really interesting. He saw through Rupert and Lachlan's carefully constructed act. He concluded that their actions were driven by their own self-interest, not by what was best for all the beneficiaries. He criticized them for being secretive, pointing out that they only told the other siblings about the changes a few days before they planned to vote on them. The commissioner even took a close look at the new people that Rupert and Lachlan had appointed to the trust, including Bill Barr. He highlighted how little these new representatives actually knew about the family and the trust. He even mentioned that one representative's research mainly consisted of Google searches, YouTube videos about the Murdochs, and even the fictional family in the show Succession. It just goes to show how little genuine effort they put into understanding the situation. In the end, the commissioner's decision was a huge win for James, Elizabeth, and Prudence. He acknowledged their right to have a say in the future of the company and rejected the idea that sticking to a conservative editorial line was the only way to be successful financially. It's a powerful reminder that even within a family-controlled empire, there need to be checks and balances to make sure things are fair and transparent, especially when the stakes are this high. This whole thing is much bigger than a family squabble. It's a case study in how power, ideology, and legacy all intersect within the media industry. It raises important questions about journalistic integrity, the influence wealthy individuals have on public discourse, and the very future of news consumption. So where do we go from here? Rupert and Lachlan. They're not likely to just give up. They could appeal the commissioner's ruling and drag out this legal battle even longer. Or Lachlan could try to buy out his siblings and take full control through a financial maneuver. But beyond all the legal strategies, there's a deeper human element at play. This isn't just about who controls a company. This is about a family torn apart by different values and ambitions. James, Elizabeth, and Prudence. They've made it clear that this fight is about more than just their inheritance. They want a say in shaping the company's future. They're advocating for a media landscape that's less partisan, more balanced, and potentially more aligned with their own worldviews. This raises a fundamental question. Can a media empire that was built on a specific ideology adapt to a world that's constantly changing? Can it embrace diverse perspectives without losing its core identity? This whole case with the Murdoch family trust, it really highlights a tension that's at the core of media today. How do you balance the business side of things? The need to appeal to a certain audience with the principles of reporting fairly and impartially. Can a media empire that's built on a very specific ideology, can it really adapt to a world that's becoming more and more diverse, a world that's demanding a wider range of viewpoints? And this isn't just a Murdoch family problem. This is a challenge for media organizations all over the globe. As the way people consume news keeps changing and technology reshapes the entire media landscape, these organizations are struggling to stay relevant and financially stable without sacrificing their journalistic standards. And then you add social media into the mix. It makes things even more complicated. Social media creates this environment where information spreads so quickly, often without any fact-checking. And the algorithms can actually amplify biases. This makes it even tougher for traditional media outlets to maintain their authority and credibility. So what does this mean for the future of news? Will we see a shift towards more independent sources of information, sources that aren't tied to any particular political viewpoint? Or will these big media conglomerates continue to dominate the scene, shaping the narratives that reach the majority of people? The answers to these questions are still unfolding. But one thing is crystal clear. The role of media in society is changing. As informed citizens, it's our responsibility to engage with the information we consume in a critical way. We need to understand the influences that shape the stories we're being told, and we need to actively seek out different perspectives to form our own well-rounded opinions. The Murdoch family saga might be centered around one powerful family, but it holds valuable lessons for all of us. It reminds us to be cautious consumers of information, to question the sources we rely on, and to demand more from the media that shapes our understanding of the world.